There it is. All right, welcome everybody to the team call this week. We're on Wednesday today instead of Tuesday, so hopefully we don't have too many people lost. I was going through my email today and saw people trying to join the Zoom room yesterday that have our team call in their calendar for Tuesday. So thank you for those of you that could hop on today live on a different day so we could accommodate getting our special guest Jay on here, and I'll give him a proper announcement in just a minute. But I just wanted to recap exciting changes inside of the Beachbody world. As you guys know, we're making the transition over to the name of Body, which I'm super excited about. The mission is still helping others live healthier, more fulfilling lives. But we want to, what we're basically doing is creating a new category. We don't want to compete in the health and fitness industry. We want to create a whole new category of health esteem where, it always feels good to be you. Like just waking up and making good, positive choices. You can feel good today. You don't have to wait until some ideal figure or before after picture or anything like that to feel good. You get to do that today by the choices that you are making. So jump on board with us on that. The mission is big. Look at that. I get the chills just even thinking about that mission. I just want to share a real brief experience. I had the opportunity to go to 3 hours south to Super Weekend, where Chris Pandolfo, as you guys know, a member of this team, won the $100,000 Beachbody Challenge, lost 170 pounds, lost his mother in her early 30s, and he started his journey at the same age she was when she passed away. And he was just talking about some of the hard decisions that he had to make on his journey. And some of those decisions were literally just like, some of the food habits that he had throughout his life were looking at that whole pizza and being like, do I love this pizza more or do I love my family more? And he was sharing that with me, and he had to make choices like that every single day. Now, I took him out for some pizza. It's okay to enjoy things in life, but as he was fighting for his life in those early stages, he had to make those hard choices on that journey. And it was a really special, hopefully he doesn't mind me saying, he won't mind me saying this because like he went on and made a video on, outside of the cabin after one of these experiences. But I took him to my cabin. We drove from Salt Lake up to my cabin. It was about a 5-hour drive north, just snow falling, beautiful, like nothing. He doesn't see things like that, in his daily life. And he just kept talking about, like, he was just in disbelief of just the what it was like. He spent some time before Super Weekend with CJ Ward, which is one of my Star Diamond Kiera Ward's husband. He owns his own business, a lens cleaner, but he got to see what it's like to live a life by design, like to own your own business and have control of your own future. But what he got to see with that is that we still work, even though on social media it might look like, vacations or, a lot of downtime or doing fun things like going to the cabin. Like when CJ Ward went and picked him up at the airport, he took him to his company, to his business, into the warehouse, and they chatted about life for 3 hours. But the whole time CJ was doing payroll and packaging, like he was working. He was working. And what I want to share about that is it didn't take a lot of effort for CJ to do that. It's just who he is. He is the CEO of Lens Cleaner, and is like, he just is building that business constantly and taking those steps. But also, he brought Chris along on that journey and just showed him what that's like. And then he came to the cabin and like, we had fun. I took him out to shoot guns for the very first time. He shot a 50 cal handgun. He shot a 45. He shot a shotgun. He shot a 5.56, and he's never held a gun before. So it was fun to help him experience something new. But he just kept, like, he was just in deep gratitude. He's like, I'm sorry if I keep saying thank you. He's like, this is just something I never expected. I'm from the projects where I live in the UK. And like, I never imagined just experiencing something like this. And what I loved about Chris, and this is like, he recorded everything. We pulled someone out of a snowstorm with my truck, and he was more excited. Like, I don't think I've seen anybody that excited in my life, like yelling and jumping up and down when we pulled him out, when we finally got him out of the ditch. And like, he was just in love with life and that experience. But the thing that I love is he was like recording these things, recording him shooting guns, recording the snow, recording like getting someone out of the ditch, But what I loved about Chris is he sent it to his wife and kids first before he ever put it on social media. He wanted to share that experience with his family. And he just kept talking about like something shifted. I don't know what it is, but like, I haven't taken this business serious. Like, he saw me enjoy life with him, have conversations with him, go shoot guns with him. But he also saw me sitting on the couch, messaging people, connecting with people, putting up an image for the team call, you know, while we're experiencing life. So we got to see that like Beachbody coaching is my life. We're walking out of the store from getting our groceries at Walmart, and like just out of habit. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to use my phone while I was with you, but I was like sending a share a cart while I was walking to my truck. It was just like part of who I am. And so it was just a cool experience for him. And he's just like, I'm doing this. Like my wife and my kids are going to experience things like I experienced this weekend, and nothing's going to stop me from doing that. So it was a cool shift to see that happen with him. And I'm going to invite you guys to go all in, if you haven't yet, on your own transformation, working hard on yourself, doing hard things, representing Jay's shirt here. And Jay, I don't mean to steal your speech here, but the conversation I had with Chris was, he's a bodyguard for like Henry, famous actor. Like, he gets to do things like security during making movies. And we did some math. Sorry, I'm going to stop for a minute. My internet is a little whack. Okay, my internet went wild. I'm going on my hotspot. So Chris works security for actors like Henry and all of these things. And we did some math, and the thing that he came up with is like, if I get to the highest pinnacle, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Got you now.
Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I'm getting fiber internet on the 26th of this month. So we won't have to switch to hotspot during the middle of our calls anymore. But Chris, we had a conversation with Chris about doing hard things. He works security. It's long hours, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours. And sometimes it's 6 days a week. And I told him I had a moment in my life where I had to look at the people in my career. And I was like, I knew I was a hard worker. I knew I could get to the top head engineer or head of sales or vice president or whatever it was. I went from sweeping floors to leading the service department, shipping department, and writing the manuals in 5 years. So I knew I could get there. But what I did is I walked through the shop one day. I did all the math. I realized what the top people made inside of that company. And I just did the math, and I could get there, but it never would help me get to the goals and dreams I had for my life. And that goal and dream I had for my life before coaching was retire at the age of 50 with $1 million in the bank and no mortgage payment. And there was no way possible that I could get to that point. So I had to make a decision. I could work, and the decision literally I made in my head, so you can understand my process, was I could work 10 years at this Beachbody coaching thing. And that was like my mindset when I first started. I could put everything I have into this in the nights and on my lunch break to build this business and replace my income. Or I could spend the next 35 years, because I was 30 years old, at Idaho Steel, this place. And for the next 35 years, I could work there and never get to the place that I wanted to, that would get me to my goals and dreams. I could get there. I could like work that and be at the top position, but I'd still, though I looked at those people, they were still working Saturday mornings. They were the ones there 12 hours a day with me. And they looked 10 years older than they were. And I was like, I don't want that life. I'm going to choose this hard, which was in my mind, learning social media, getting out of my introverted shell, learning sales, marketing, leadership, everything that involves coaching. And I saw Lindsay's lifestyle and other coaches that I looked up to. And I was like, I want my life to look like that. I don't want my life to look like this. So I put my ladder against that wall. And I was like, I'm going all in with this coaching thing. So I want you guys to think about that. If you haven't gone all in, I didn't plan on talking about this, Jay, so sorry about that. But just coming off of that conversation with Chris and spending time with him, make sure that ladder's against the right wall that takes you to where you actually want your life to be. Now, with that being said, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, who I've been super excited to have be with us today. This is called Ignite Your Potential. Masterclass with Jay Teagues. He's a certified high performance coach, leadership training with the Lions Guide, college professor, and a podcast host. Some of the things I want to share about him, I did put into the team page, but I'm just going to read them because it's like, I just hear it and I'm like, Jay, you are an absolute beast. He is the founder of Do Hard Things Nation Apparel. Jay believes taking on complex changes with persistence and commitment enables people to find great success in life. He's a transitioning veteran with 27 years of service, both enlisted and as a commissioned officer. His mantra, do hard things, has enabled him to overcome many struggles in life and achieve success in completing complex challenges. This shift in perspective allowed him to go from a directionless teenager who grew up in a fatherless home to be a commissioned officer in the United States Army, where he successfully commanded 2 units, specializing in the leadership development of our nation's next generation of emerging military leaders. He now shares his outlook on personal transformation as a speaker, trainer, and high performance coach with the Lions Guide, an online academy empowering business owners and leaders to take their performance to the next level. Guys, get this. He's an endurance athlete, an RRCA level 1. He's what is this? Jay, you're going to have to help me understand what this is. A pose? What is this?
Oh, pose method running instructor.
So he's a pose method running instructor and a VDO.
V.02. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so like he is coaching people to do hard things both in business and in life as a running coach. He has group fitness certifications, spin and insanity. He is also a Beachbody coach, just like each one of us, who uses Energize and Shakeology daily. And he just started the 21-day fixed out prep for a 100K that he is running next month. Not a 5K, a 100K. But what I want to share with you guys, Jay is just an incredible, there's people in life who are memorable. I don't remember what year it was, but I went to a Success Club party at Summit. And, I'm meeting coaches for the first time. I met one of Beth's coaches, Mallory Landry, for the first time. But I remember meeting Jay, and I just wanted to be around Jay when I met him. Gabby and I were together. He's just this tall, confident, handsome, good-looking man that just makes you feel good to be around. He had earned the Success Club party, and I got to meet him there. And that's my first memory is like, I don't even remember what else happened to that summit, but I remember going to that party. I remember where it was at. The streets were blocked off. I remember where we stopped. And I first met Jay for the first time. I remember conversations outside of my cabin as he went through different trials in his life and just trying to uplift him as he uplifted me. And then I wanted to do this hard challenge of climbing this mountain. And I was like, Jay, you want to go on a hard hike with me? Yeah, you're the do hard things guy. I'm going to invite, you want to come out? And he's like, yeah, I'll come on a hard hike with you. I didn't tell him it's like rock climbing, like 20 hours straight of rock climbing, and you should have ropes, but you don't have ropes type of thing. So we almost died together on a mountain last year. So we've been through some things together, and he's that guy. If you want to go through something hard, you want to go through it with Jay. So Jay, I'm going to turn the time over to you, my man.
And I appreciate that intro. And I think, Scotty, I think we've talked candidly about this, but you came into my life when I share my story. I talk about I've been a high achiever most of my life. Came from a broken home, had some difficulties throughout my military career, but always high achieving. But like so many, just fell short in a lot of ways, which ended in a divorce. It ended in me nearly taking my own life. And when I got to my lowest point, I'm like, I can't live this way anymore. And I'm not tapping out. I've had a lot of people in my life take their own life, but I'm not tapping out. I need to rewire myself. How do I do that? Well, I got myself in therapy. Then I started down this path of personal growth and development. I was a Beachbody coach way back when it initially started, but I knew but that was years prior. And I knew in this new journey, my reinventing myself, that, P90X did a really good job for me. So you know what, I'm going to get back into the Beachbody thing and try to connect. And so I looked up who are the best Beachbody coaches out there? And Scotty, I think at the time is the top 10. I think you were the only male. And I really loved the personal development videos that you were putting out. So I'm going to reach out to Scotty, and I signed up as a Beachbody coach, and I started doing P90X. but Scotty made such a profound impact with his videos, and I wasn't much of a reader, but you gave me the book, The Slight Edge, and that fundamentally changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm so appreciative to you, Scotty, and you've been on my podcast. We've talked about it. You just came in my life at the right time, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today without that intersection with you. So I really appreciate it. And it means a lot to come in to this community and help people. And I inspire and motivate people to lead. And I'm passionate about helping business owners and leaders get to the next level. I stayed in the Army. Most people stay in the military for 20 years, then they retire. I stayed in for 27 because I didn't have the clarity. I knew I love the camaraderie of the military. I love being a part of something greater than myself, but I didn't know what that next mission was for me. But when I connected the dots and what really drove me and really excited me, it's coaching, mentoring, and helping people. I'm like, once I figured out how to do that with other people, like my mission can continue, it got me really fired up and excited about life again. So that's what I'm here to do. I officially retired from the Army in February. So I'm doing an internship right now. I've been working on this next, my next chapter and career in my life as a performance coach. If any of you guys went to a summit this year, Brendan Bouchard was I think he's one of the speakers there. I am one of his certified performance coaches. Brendan Bouchard has made a profound impact in my life. I went to High Performance Academy. I've studied all his books. When he said he had a coaching program of elite coaches, it was a big investment to go for it. But I went for it, and I've been doing this for about 2 years now and absolutely love it. So to be here talking to business owners like yourself and to be able to hopefully, when you leave the session today, I'll give you some type of insight to help you level up in some way, then I've done my job. And Scotty's like, man, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about today. So what I want to talk about today is courage. Because I think that's one of the most, I don't know, when you think about people that are taking bold action, making big moves in their lives, they're facing fear, and fear holds us back in so many different ways. And so what I want to do today, this is a very interactive session. So if you got notes and pen and paper, you're going to want to take some paper. I'm going to be calling on people. We're going to be sharing. We're going to be talking today about this topic, and with the intent of hopefully you walk away knowing a little bit more about courage, identifying your fears, and identifying what you're going to take bold action on to advance your life. And performance coaching and leadership coaching, I take a very holistic approach to it. You have to lead yourself first. And when you can lead yourself first, you're going to be that role model that your family needs you to be, and you're going to be able to lead your team of Beachbody coaches or whatever organization that you're stepping into that leadership role. And let's all be honest, leadership is, there's a great void in leadership in our country and in the world in general right now. We need more people to step up and be bold and be courageous. And what I love about the Beachbody community is there's an epidemic problem. I don't know if that's the right word, but a significant problem, right, with our health and our wellness. And I love the fact that Beachbody is transforming to this overall wellness concept, right? And it's so needed. It's so needed out there. And I'm just excited to be here. So I've got some slides I'm going to tee up. So let me share my screen. All right. So this is, I host a variety of different sessions. The Lions Guide is an online academy specifically for business leaders and just leaders in general. So business owners and leaders. And it's basically Dale Walls, myself, and Flip, AKA Keith Griffin. We're all three military guys, so we're all veterans. Dale Walls served in the Marine Corps, and he ultimately got out after 4 years, got into the IT world, started a company, sold it for $200 million just a couple of years ago. He does this because he's passionate. He does not have to do this if he doesn't want to anymore. And he's got incredible business acumen. And he's also a certified coach. We crossed paths. He's like, man, I'd love to have you come on board. And so I'm here as the high performance director for the Lions Guide. Keith Flip is the leadership director. So basically, and then we have the business development arm, and we're slowly scaling this organization and growing this academy. So that's a little bit about what the Lions Guide is. There's podcasts. We're doing regular training now. From the end of the year, we're doing like open sessions each week. That's completely free because we're basically doing a launch. So if you'd like more information, go to lionsguide.com. But ultimately, let's talk about, Scotty did a deep dive. Thank you for that very humbling intro, but just a little bit about myself. I came from a broken home. I joined the military to close a dark chapter of my childhood. In that time, the Army issued me some trauma with my deployments, and I didn't handle those things very well. In military, a lot of type A personalities. It's like, just suck up your emotions, pack it away. We got a mission. And especially during the nonstop, wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I didn't handle it very well. Although I was a high achiever, I didn't handle it very well. I ultimately, most of my career, I spent a lot of it, 13 years enlisted as a combat engineer, doing explosives and landmines and demolition, looking for IEDs. I eventually earned my degree. I commissioned as an officer, and I'm currently a major, and I retire in February. In that time, I've had a variety of roles in leadership and mentorship. I've commanded units, and we're trying to take young men and women, especially when I was training. We were in the middle of sending troops to Iraq and Afghanistan. When I was training young officers, they just freshly graduated college. They were coming in to learn their craft, and immediately when they left their course, they were probably going to stand in front of 50 soldiers who've had combat experience and lead them in combat. And it was very difficult to do, but incredibly important work to be able to develop these leaders so they can serve, because there was so much on the line. So I'm really passionate about this topic. I'm a father of triplet daughters. I'm an endurance athlete. I'm a running coach, small business owner, podcast host. I do a lot. I do a lot because I just want to stay engaged. And there's a photo down there of Scotty and Greg and I right before we climbed that mountain. Hey, you want to come out for a hike? And yeah, we literally almost died that day. That was amazing, and I want to do it again, but I was not expecting that. But yeah, that's a little bit about who I am and what I do. So let's talk about courage. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. And that's a quote by Mark Twain. And what high-performing people do is they don't get paralyzed by their fear. They just look at fear just a little bit differently. And in doing so, they can take action. They can take that bold step that's required. Leadership is hard. Leadership is not easy. It's a very difficult thing to do. Leadership is also incredibly lonely at the top sometimes. And sometimes we have to be the one that demonstrates courage so we can role model the way for those that rely on us. And so when we look at high performance and we look at courage, like it's incredibly, incredibly important. But courage is one of those things. For example, recently I jumped out of a plane for the first time. I did that when I asked my wife to marry me, and we did it again when we got married. But I'm terrified of heights. But what I have found, and what psychologists have found, is that it's pretty common to fear jumping out of a plane. That's not a normal thing, right? You get this fast-moving aircraft flying through the air, and then you're going to put on this parachute and jump out of it and fall to the Earth's surface, praying to God that the parachute deploys, and that you hit the ground safely. But what they found is that the more that you do something, you gain a little bit more competence in that, and with that competence comes a level of confidence. It's not that the fear isn't there; it can actually begin to feel more routine. It can actually still feel very exhilarating, but the fear-inducing that is paralyzing you diminishes. And I have found in my life, and that's where the mantra "do hard things" comes from. If I do the things that scare the hell out of me, if I get out of my comfort zone and inoculate myself to that, and take discipline, and it takes a lot of courage to do that, the fear-inducing that paralyzes me will diminish, and I will still be able to execute. And I think that's why high-performing people operate so well, and they make it look easy, but it's not. It's not. They're, if you talk to people that are performing at a high level, they still have that fear. It's just not paralyzing them. And so that's due to the confidence loop. The more competence you have in something, the more confidence that you gain. And we think about a lot of the things that are holding us back in life right now. Like we were designed biologically to run from saber-toothed tigers. Like when we have fear and anxiety, like it's just a signal to your body, like, hey, something's up. But if we look at like the things that we're actually fearing in life today, like it's a bunch of, fearing other people's opinions on social media. It's fearing that we're gonna disappoint somebody. It's like it's all a bunch of BS stuff. Like in the grand scheme of things, it really is ridiculous when you think about it. And so that's why I think this topic is so important, because I know working in sales and marketing as a recruiter, as a Beachbody coach, is what I'm doing now. Like we have fears about reaching out to people because they may reject us. We have fears of putting ourselves out there, but it's absolutely required if we want to achieve the next level. And so we're going to kind of talk about some of those fears that could be holding you back and talk a little bit more about that. So this is an interactive session. And I know we're going to go a little quicker because we stop at 1 o'clock, right? My time at top of the hour. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through this maybe a little bit quicker than normal. We have a lot of people on, but take notes. Take notes. This is a very Socratic method. I'm going to have some questions up here on the slide. It's going to require some level of introspection. I want you guys to utilize the chat. I'm going to call on a couple of folks, but we're going to keep this thing. If I do call on you, keep your answer very succinct so we can get through this today. But you're going to get something out of this today. And whatever we talk about today, there's no judgment. This is a safe space. We keep it here on the call. Okay. And so, because we could get a little vulnerable, and vulnerability is good. And that takes a level of courage too. So the first question that I have is, tell me what courage means to you, and tell me a time in your life where you feel like you're really stepping up. And you can type that in the chat. And I like to call, I'm going to call people. So it's going to require people to step up. All right. Elizabeth Lucas, tell me what courage means to you, and tell me about a time in your life where you really felt like you're stepping up.
Oh, goodness. Courage means to me just facing that fear, facing whatever battle that you're working on, and just, you don't really have to conquer it. It's just taking that step towards moving in the right direction instead of letting that fear set you back. And a time in my life that I felt like I was really stepping up. Some of you know this, I went through about 3 years of domestic violence and abuse. And one day I dropped my then husband at work and ran away with my 2-year-old baby. And I felt like I was really stepping up in life because I was doing something to secure my future and to secure her future. And everything from that moment is just, we're surviving. No matter what life throws at us, no matter what fear we have, we are survivors.
Man, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And that's incredible what you did. And if we can connect the dots on the times that we were stepping up and identify what courage is, it can remind us when we're facing things now. And I like what you said, that you don't necessarily have to conquer the thing. It's just taking a step in the right direction. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Let me call on Ashley Clark. What does courage mean to you? And tell us about a time you were really stepping up. Right now on this call.
Technology.
Technology, yeah.
I think, especially lately in my life, courage means that I can't change other people. I have to change myself, which is so much harder because, that means I have to do all the really hard internal work instead of just blaming the circumstances and the surroundings for everything that's going on in my life.
Absolutely. I love that, because we tend to, humans, we want to control people. Like, just, I know what you need to do in your life. Why don't you just do it? But it doesn't really work that way. But being able to control ourselves, and one of the topics we talk in high performance is being able to role model and influence the way. And effective leadership, that's what you do. You be the best version of yourself and be the lighthouse for other people to emulate, because they'll want to gravitate toward you and follow you, because you're exuding confidence. You exude. Scotty, humbly, I appreciate that. Oftentimes people don't remember what you say, but you remember the presence that when we met, right? And I recall his presence, and we naturally kind of gravitated toward one another. And so I think about that, like, when you try to, like, I can lead a lot of, another thing because mine is I can lead a lot of people, and I feel very confident about that, but I can't lead my children to make their bed or take out the dishes, or I want to just control them. And I'm like, they don't listen to me. It gets so frustrating. So, but no, thank you for sharing that. All right. So the next question that I have for all of you, and before I go to the next slide, whatever you were thinking about, what your definition is, take note of what that is and remind yourself, because if you know what the definition of courage is, and when you're facing fear, you can be intentional about facing that. And when you can connect the dots on a time you were really stepping up, like what was going on then, you can maybe mimic some of those things in that issue that you're facing now, whether it be in your personal life or your business life. All right. So the next question I have is, are there any people or situations in your life right now that you feel that you could be stepping up a little bit more for? Scotty, I'm gonna pick on you. What about you? What do you think about this question?
Oh, I'm muted. I was like, oh man, don't pick me for this one. But here I am. Okay, are there any people or situations in your life right now that you feel you could be stepping up more? Yeah, I'm gonna say situations. I could talk about people, but we've got to keep this short. So situations, I'm in a very comfortable place in my life where, for years I haven't had to think about money. Like, do I have money for this or that? And if I want to do something, I can do it, which has in turn created some level of laziness or lack of growth, where I don't do as many things that are challenging or that take courage as before. Like right now, and I think when I wake up each day and the things I do, like going to speak at a super weekend, over the weekend, not challenging. To take Chris to my cabin and go shoot some guns and be a friend, not challenging. And I live my daily life like that right now. Doing my workouts, like drinking my Energize and going down and do my workout, not challenging. Having the desire to pick up a book, read a podcast, not challenging. For me to go reach out to 5 to 10 people, whether they say yes or no, not challenging. I have, 2 videos going viral on Facebook right now, Reels, and every comment is like, F off, you're a dumb bee. Why would you do that when you're 40? It's not challenging. I look at them like, oh, they're struggling with it. None of that stuff challenges me. And so situation where I could be stepping up more is doing hard things, just stepping up my, doing things that are challenging and not just in a routine of doing the things that are easy, mundane things that I've mastered.
No, that we need challenge in our life. We need to have those meaningful pursuits that force us to level up and grow. And there's basically 3 points that we tend to fall in life. You can live the caged life where you feel like you just don't have control of anything. You know that there's something else out of you, but you just feel like you're stuck. There's the comfortable life where it's good to be comfortable. Absolutely. But when you know that there's another level out there for you, or you sense that you're maybe in the comfort zone a little bit too long, you get a little stagnant and you're wanting more. And then there's the fully charged life. That's where you're just fully engrossed. You're feeling meaningful pursuits. You got deep connections. So those are the three buckets of life that we can tend to fall into. And we can, throughout a lifetime, you can kind of meander from one to the other. Now, we ultimately want to get to the charged life, but we got to connect the dots on what gets us there. And so that's what I'm hearing is that I recall your early struggles before you became a Beachbody coach, or that initial journey where you were caged. And now you've had a lot of success. And what I'm hearing is comfortable trying to find that charged life. And all of us on this call are probably in one of those buckets trying to find our way into the next bucket. So no, I appreciate you sharing that. So let's go to Kath H. What do you think about this question? Are there any people or situations in your life that you feel like you could be stepping up more for? She may not be with us. Laura Paleo.
Hey, so thanks for inviting me to answer this question. For me, I think I need to be stepping up more in this business, and like Chris Pandolfo said, taking it more seriously. I've set a lot of goals this year, but I'm not near where I want to be financially. We live on Maui and it's very expensive here. And even with green energy at our house. Our electric bills are still over $600 a month. And I feel like I could be contributing more financially to my family.
Okay. No,
Area.
thank you for sharing that. So a little bit more of the business. You could be stepping up more for a variety of different ways.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's not easy to share what you're challenged with right now, but having awareness of that is incredibly important. And just want everyone to know that all of us are capable of are capable of remarkable things that we may not be able to foretell and never discover without taking bold action. So what are the fears that are holding you back? We're going to touch on the fears, but what is that costing you? So whatever situation or thing that requires you, that you know that you need to be stepping up more for, what is it costing you by not addressing it? And that enables us to have, like, maybe get a little bit of energy around that, or maybe that drive for necessity to help us overcome that, to really take that bold action that we know that we need to do. What do you tend to worry about or fear the most in life? What do you tend to worry about or fear the most in life? I'm going to call on Emily. Are you with us? How about?
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
how you doing?
can you guys
Hi.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just get spotty service, so I wasn't sure. What I worry about most in life, I guess, as I'm a mom of 4, so my biggest concern is not being present and like letting them all of a sudden grow up, and I just feel like I'm doing one thing after another and not really being present in the moment.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge, right? I find that with my teenagers as well. Am I being present enough? Now they're at a point now where dad's not nearly as cool and they don't want me
Right.
around as much. So trying to find that balance.
So I guess that's because you want to be like this high performer, but it just seems like you have to work, but then you also want to be present with your family. So just finding that healthy balance. So when I'm
Yes.
working, I'm like working and I'm fully in that. Or when I'm with my family, I'm fully with them. Right now, I don't feel like I have that at all. So it's kind of a challenge.
Yeah, that's a challenge for a lot of people. And what I tell people is, if I were to parachute into your life and open up your planning system, whether it be your Google phone or whatever planner you use, would I see family time blocked in there? And usually what the response that I'll get is no. I've got all my work tasks blocked in there. But what you're saying is that is more of a priority than anything else in your life. Because if you don't plan it and you're not intentional about it, it's going to get stepped on or bled on by something else that you're working on. Life is going to interject itself. So if you want more family time, if you want that date night with your spouse, if you want that time for your hobby, you got to raise the necessity. Like, that's as equally as important as your business. And because your business activities are popping up on your calendar, and what you're saying is, when you're not putting those other things on there, that's more important. And the true definition of high performance is exceeding beyond standard norms for prolonged period of time without sacrificing your health or your family. And there's a lot of high achieving people, and you probably know them, high achieving people that will, in their business sense, are getting a lot done, but at the sacrifice of their health, or they're sacrificing their family to get there. And they're not finding fulfillment in that. And so in a classic example that comes to mind that we all know is like Robin Williams, right? He was remarkably successful in his career, and we can't begin to understand, why he ultimately took his life, but there was something there that was imbalanced. And I have found myself there, where I was high achieving in my work. I was all Army all the time, dedicated to the mission, but it cost me a marriage, and it nearly cost me my own life because I was just out of balance. So so Scotty Hobbs got date night calendar. So I think that's incredibly important. I didn't mean to hijack that and take that down a segue. It's such a common thing that you're not alone in that, Emily. And it's definitely a challenge. All right, next question. Is there anyone in your life who you feel that you're not being more honest with when it comes to your true feelings? Maybe a relationship or a situation where you probably need to have a tough conversation with somebody. Bren, this is a tough question. Bren, are you with us?
Yes, just trying to find that mute button.
Oh, no problem.
Honestly, that would be myself.
Hmm.
Um,
How so? Thank you for sharing.
there's some really hard challenges coming up. I just recently got married, and he just told me that he feels like we need to go our separate ways. He wanted a maid, a slave, and somebody to take care of his special needs kid. And I basically told him I gave up a job that I was getting $5,000 a month for. I was getting $25 an hour to be, thank you, to be a caregiver and to clean homes. And I said, okay, if that's what you really want, you're not really wanting a helpmate or a spouse to walk alongside you, then you're going to pay me $25 an hour. His money was more important than I was. His life was more important than I was. So to be honest, I put myself on the back burner. So got a hold of Scotty and said it's time to focus on me again, and signed up to be a coach. And I've been doing my Shakeology and just self-care, just starting to take care of me and figuring out what my true feelings are.
It takes a lot of courage to have that level of awareness and take an action step, and you're doing that, and you've got a whole look. Just looking over here in the chat, people are just thankful that you're here and sharing with us. And you want to talk about doing hard things. That is definitely being in a relationship that's not going so well overshadows every other aspect of your life.
Well,
And
I gave everything up. I gave my home up. I gave my car up. I gave my job up. And I uprooted my whole life to move to New Mexico, only to be basically thrown to the curb after 2 weeks. So it's time to figure out where I'm supposed to be and who I'm supposed to be.
yeah. Well, I just applaud you for sharing that. You're incredibly brave, and being here and focusing on yourself is probably the best thing that you could. That's definitely a step in the right direction. What's one additional step that you could take moving forward that would be a step in the right direction?
Open to suggestions.
Have you considered counseling? Or
Oh,
you and your
absolutely.
husband? Okay. Is he going to counseling with you?
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no. He's hired a lawyer already. It's over.
I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. So are you done? Like, you're done too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been a single mom for over 13 years. I know how to be on my own. Not that that's what I prefer, but while I was a single mom, my house was clean. My clothes were clean, my children were clean, and I moved in with this man who, his kids have reoccurring nightmares as adults because cockroaches have crawled across their face when they were kids. His house is cockroach infested with ants and filthy and disgusting and smells nasty. It made my dog and I sick, and I will never live like that. I've never had to live like that. I refuse to live like that now. So I just need to figure out where I need to land and start reinventing who I am.
Reinventing who I am. I like that. So the fact that you're here working on yourself is definitely a step in the right direction. And, you know, and I love the fact that you're just not going to put up with it. You know who you are and you set that boundary. As tragic as that is, that's a challenge. So yeah, Emily says, focus on your own journey and personal development, spend time doing what makes you happy. And this is the time to double down on that. You got to double down on your health and your wellness and getting your mindset is everything. So doing the work that we're doing here, being on this weekly team call with your team of people that support you and doing the work that's necessary is what's going to get you through this. So I wish you the best of luck and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right, next question. If you had to have even more courage, what would you stop doing right now? What's something that you know that you're doing that's probably holding you back? You know you need to stop. What would that be? I'm going to call on Leanne. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I was kind of hoping to get through this without being called on.
Oh, we got you. No.
I would say something that I need to stop doing is placating my ex. He just is not always financially responsible and fulfills his roles, and I just don't like stirring the pot, so he ends up getting away with a lot more than I should probably let him, because I just want to keep the peace.
Keeping the peace. How's that working out for you?
Well, he's living in a beach house and I'm living in a camper, so there's that.
Okay, so it's not working out probably as well as you'd like.
No.
Okay. Well, what's a step you could take in the right direction?
Well, he's retired military. So my husband this morning, my current husband, was saying that I could call DFAS and talk to somebody to try to get him to be more fulfilling his financial obligations. So I mean, that's something I can do. I just avoided it because I didn't want to make things uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put him in a situation where suddenly he's scrambling and can't afford to make his house payments, but at the same time, it's not right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are tough situations that we're talking about today, right? And these are, man. But what I would have you consider is, like, long term, if this continues on its current trajectory, what could possibly happen and what could be the devastating effects of that? Everyone here, they probably have something that you need to take some bold courage and stop allowing something or someone to continue their behavior because it's destructive. Because what is it going to cost you? What is it going to cost your family? What are the long-term ramifications of this?
Like, long-term ramifications so far is, my kids end up suffering from it because I have them full time and he gets visitation. So, when they go to his house, he gets to be Disney dad and he gets to spoil them. He gets to do all the fun things because he has the money to do so.
Yeah.
And so when they're with me, they're dreading it. They're uncomfortable because it's an uncomfortable living situation. And I get it, but like during our marriage, he was abusive, which is why I left. And so it's great they get to see the Disney dad, but they don't remember what it's like to live with him full time. So there's that fear in me that they're going to choose at some point to go live with him full time, thinking that they'll get Disney dad the whole time.
Yeah. No, that's a tough situation. That's a tough situation. I would just encourage you to consider, by not doing anything, not doing something is also a decision, and it's going to require some level of courage to address it. What's going to cost you if you don't do something? And everyone here probably has something that they probably know that they need to stop doing, whatever that is. And the flip side of the coin is, what would you need to start doing? What would you need to start doing?
I guess I just need to stir the pot a little more. I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Be
and be
comfortable
okay
with-
with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's one thing as a coach, I'm always looking for commitments. What's an action step that you can take from here that's going to move you in the right direction that you know you need to go? You need to go in.
I need to follow through with what my husband was saying. I need to call DFAS, at least get the information I might need to get him to fulfill his obligations.
Absolutely. So getting that piece of information so you can put it out on the line and start making some decisions, getting some decision points here. If this happens, if this doesn't happen, then this is going to happen, right? And
Right.
maybe you give him, I found in leadership, if you can kind of give people the choice, it's leadership. You're just leading them to that decision point. I'm allowing you to make the decision, but this is what's going to happen if you choose your own adventure. But this is what's going to happen. I'm going to tee that up for you. And maybe that's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to transition now to just having awareness of what are we ultimately fear? What is it that we ultimately fear? Well, there's four primary types of fear. The first one being we fear physical harm, kind of going back to jumping out of the plane. You know, what's so terrifying about that? Well, the parachute may not open. We might hit hit terminal velocity and hit the ground at full speed and die, right? There's the physical pain of doing things. But aside from what we fear the loss of something. We fear the loss by changing or advancing our life in this direction that we know we need to go. We might lose something important to us. So what is that? So think of something that requires some level of courage, and you're facing fear. What is it that you may lose? We talk about Beachbody coaching and asking someone to join our challenge team. We might fear that, we might lose some, Brent said rejection, right? We might lose some credibility. They think, oh, we're part of this MLM, and so they have this perception of us, right? So we don't make the ask. So think of a change that you've avoided making or a dream that you have not moved toward in your life with more courage and commitment, and ask yourself, what am I afraid that I might lose? The example would be, I haven't changed or chased my dreams with more courage and commitment because I'm afraid I might lose what? This could be with your business, or it could be a variety of whatever you're thinking about right now. The next thing that we fear, so we have loss. So we have physical pain, we have loss pain. The next fear is process pain. That the mere act or process of changing could be incredibly difficult for us. So think again of that change that you've avoided making or dream that you've not moved toward with more courage or commitment. And what are the hardships that you are afraid the process might bring on in your life? I'm afraid to pursue that bachelor or master's degree because, man, there's a calculus course in there, and I suck at math. When they mix the letters and the numbers together, it really sucks for me, right? I'm speaking from experience. But whatever that is for you, what is that? Because when we fear the process, we'll avoid it. We're avoiding pain. And so think about the hardships that you may face by chasing that dream or commitment. So, and then finally, so we talked about physical pain, loss pain, pain of process. The next fear that we face is outcome pain. And because if we go through all the work, we do all the things that's required of us, the grass may not be greener on the other side. What if my life is not any better by doing all of this work and putting myself out there and doing all these different things? So think of that change or whatever it is that requires that courage and commitment that you haven't moved toward. And despite all of the effort, the outcome may not be so good, and you could end up. How could you possibly end up? What is your worst case scenario? What is your greatest fear? I haven't chased my dreams with more courage and commitment because I'm afraid that despite all of the effort, the outcome may not be so good, and I could end up. What is that for you? And when you can filter anything that you're facing with these questions, you can often begin to compartmentalize and really realize that a lot of the fears that we have are really BS. And you can begin to formulate a plan, or what we call risk mitigation, right? You identify the risks that are associated, the pain points that you want to avoid, and you can start to develop a plan. You can get people around you to support you. Maybe it's, you got to develop some level of competence in something. And then you can start to take steps for it, toward it. So once you overcome all of these fears that we've just identified, and you took the courage and action to improve, how would your life be different? How could your life be different if you actually faced the fear of whatever you're just thinking about and you overcame those? And so having awareness of what we fear and filtering the fear through those different lenses and identifying that enables us to really understand what we fear. And we can start to create a real action plan to overcome that. You know, I thought about, jumping out of a plane. I was just terrified. Man, what if I die? What if all these different things. But when you get there, they give you part of my research for risk mitigation was I want to find some place that's got a good safety record. Okay, so I've found this place up in Kansas City. They got really good instructors. I went there, I called them, the price was right. They made me feel at ease. I got there, they kind of joked around with me, but they were very competent. They gave me their full resume, and they gave me step-by-step instruction. And yes, I was terrified, putting the chute on, crawling into the plane, but I was so confident with the instructor, having that coach and mentor there to help me, that when I actually did it, it was actually exhilarating, and to a point where I wanted to do it again. And we got married jumping out of a plane. And so just think about whatever it is that you're facing in life, and think about overcoming your fears. And I know that we're kind of getting up against the clock here. And so just a couple more questions to think about, and I'll hand the mic over to Scotty. What have I avoided doing, which might involve hardship, but just might improve my family's life forever? We'll oftentimes do more for other people than we will ourselves. And when we can do something for when we find our reason for courage and our cause for focus and excellence and tie it to someone else, we will often do more things for other people. Next question that I love is, who needs me on my A game? Who needs me on my A game? And who loses if I don't win? And then final question, who needs you to be a better role model? When I talk to high performing people, they always tell me about someone that inspired them. They all had a reason that was usually a person, not always a purpose or a group of people, but a person that made a significant impact on their life. I look at Scotty Hobbs. He's one of those impactful people in my life. I pick a handful of people. He'd be one of those people that really made a significant impact. Inspired me to be a better role model for my family and those that I serve with. And so who requires you to be a better role model? Because when you start to adopt that role model mindset, you're going to influence more people. And it's going to force you to be better. It's going to force you to take bold action and have more courage. And so with that, my next slide, hey, I've got a worksheet that accompanies this. If you would like a copy of the worksheet to continue to journal and basically highlight all the things we talked about today, shoot me an email. Just put in the subject courage. Tell me what you thought of today's session. And I'll just send you over a copy of the worksheet that you can continue to journal on. And it's great for a variety of different situations that you may find yourself in. And with that, I always like to finish up with what insight did you get from today's call? And I'll tee it up with Scotty, because I know you're probably, we're really close on time here. So Scotty.
Thank you, Jay. That was absolutely incredible. I put in the chat that email, so you can just copy that and send that right away. jay@lionsguide.com. Jay, I just want to say thank you, man. You added incredible value. We could have done another hour doing some deep dive, answering questions together as a team, but I know everybody's got their families and prioritizing their schedule as we talked about on there. So thank you for adding tremendous value to us. I would highly recommend sending that email to Jay if you're looking for a little more help with getting into those high performance habits and taking your life to the next level. I want to say thank you not only to Jay, but everybody on this call that got vulnerable, shared some of the struggles that you are going through, and just remind you that you've made it through every hard thing you've had in your life so far, that you will make it through this next one. And my challenge to you is to make it out as a better person and a stronger person than you've been in the past. And I'm going to take that advice. There were some things on there, Jay, some of those questions that you asked where I have the version that I would throw out to the rest of the world, be like, oh, I struggle with this, or I need to change this, where I've taken some deep looks and be like, no, you need to change this. Maybe you don't want to talk about it yet with everybody else, but it needs to be changed. So thank you for making me dive deep into my own things I need to change to go to the next level. And I'm encouraging everybody on here to rise up together with us. And we're here. I loved seeing that encouragement from the team. And that's what the team's for. So use the Dynasty Strong team page, find an accountability partner, and let's go through this together. We don't have to do this alone. So thanks, Jay, for spending time with us. Thanks for everybody that took time out of your day to be with us here today. And we'll see you guys all on next week's team call. See you guys later.
See you guys.